Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with your midday news. A special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. More than 100 persons have been displaced after fire last night destroyed several houses on Fleet Street in downtown Kingston and gutted a facility which housed several physically challenged and homeless persons on Tower Street. The blaze started sometime after 9 o'clock. 70 persons who were at the facility, which is operated by Missionaries of the Poor, were evacuated by residents. One of the physically challenged persons sustained serious burns. 40 other persons who occupied the mainly board houses on Fleet Street lost most of their belongings. It's still not clear what caused the fire. And we will have more on this in our primetime news package at 7. Acting Director of Corruption Prosecutions at the Integrity Commission, Dirk Harrison, will retire on September 1. He has informed the Governor General of his decision to retire in a letter dated August 4. We have more in this report.
Dirk Harrison was appointed Contractor General on February 25, 2013. The office of a Contractor General was later subsumed into the Integrity Commission under the Integrity Commission Act 2017. That statute, which took effect on February 22, 2018, abolished the post of Contractor General and in its place created the post of Director of Corruption Prosecutions, but Mr. Harrison was never appointed to the position. Instead, he was asked to act in the role on an interim basis. Earlier this year, the public became aware of strong differences of opinion between Mr. Harrison and the commissioners of the Integrity Commission following a report by Mr. Harrison as former Contractor General about the government sale of the rooms on the beach property in Ocho-Rios. His report stated that the Urban Development Corporation was not able to negotiate freely and from a position of strength in the sale of rooms on the beach to Puerto Caribe Properties Limited because of the alleged meddling of Government Minister Darrell Vaz and others. That claim was strongly contested by Mr. Vaz. The controversy deepened when commissioners of the Integrity Commission raised doubts about the credibility of the report in a statement issued on April 30. In June, Mr. Harrison said Jamaica's anti-corruption strategies are ineffective, adding that the country runs the risk of suffering reputational damage unless decisive action is taken. He raised concern about the operations of the Integrity Commission and the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA while speaking at a crime and corruption forum in New Kingston. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
A call from the Consumer Affairs Commission for parents and guardians to be vigilant in their back-to-school shopping. The Director of Communications was speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica program this week. TVJ's Andrew Laidley has the report.
Look out for counterfeit goods. That's the call from the Consumer Affairs Commission as the back-to-school shopping period intensifies. Director of Communications at the CAC, Latoya Halstead, says reports of fake school bags and shoes have increased in this period.
After the rush where everybody generally trying to do last-minute shopping, what generally happens, we see a 5 to 10% increase in the number of complaints.
Ms. Halstead made a plea to those who purchase goods without getting a receipt, while encouraging parents to buy brands they're familiar with.
And I'm going to ask, beg, plead to consumers, ensure that you get a receipt when you purchase your items. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to 3 R's. You either repair it, replace it, or you get a redress.
Yep. As for textbooks, Ms. Halstead said parents should look out for books which have been defaced.
In terms of books, persons would have written their names in the books and they would have wrapped the books. And when you take that back to the store, the bookstore cannot sell it to somebody else because somebody else's name is in it.
Okay.
So what we caution parents is that when you purchase books, do not write the names, do not wrap the books until you have confirmed with the teacher that this is what we will be using.
Andrew Laidley, TVJ News.
Administrators at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts staged a demonstration to highlight their support of the principal. It's reported that the board of directors voted to ask Principal Dr. Nicolene DeGrasse Johnson to take a leave of absence from the institution. This amidst the sexual harassment investigation that is underway at the college. TVJ News understands that the leave of absence is with immediate effect. Since the news broke, administrators at the school organized a protest to throw their support behind the principal.
Scapegoat in this entire issue, the way the board speaks to the press and the public, and the principal have been doing real work in trying to address the issue. And we don't hear that. Simply hear that the principal is the scapegoat here, and that's not fair to her.
Staff members say they do not support the board's decision, and they are upset that for far too long they have been left in the dark about the investigations. With the new school year starting yesterday, they would like to have the issue resolved soon.
But it's essentially just asking for closure. The going on and on is now becoming, like a colleague said, a soap opera, where we're just adding to the drama and we're not trying to resolve. So we genuinely want to resolve the situation. We have students who are hurting, we have staff who are hurting, and we really just want to respect due process. We want to respect each other, and we want to function as a college.
TVJ News understands that both vice principals will assume day-to-day responsibility for activities at the college in the interim. And we now take a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We have more news when we return. Welcome back, continuing the Midday News. A warning from Prime Minister Andrew Holness that more contractors will be barred from state-funded works. Mr. Holness said he has given directives for a stricter system to be in place so that those contractors who have produced inferior work or are late in completing projects will be overlooked.
I've asked the new procurement authority to give Cabinet a policy outline as to how we can introduce performance management contracting. That is, we know of several contractors who have work. They don't finish. They don't complete it on time, but yet they come back into the process. So there must be a way within the procurement process in which the past performance of contractors feature in their ability to get future work.
The National Water Commission, NWC, says its operations teams are working to restore water supply to several communities in St. Andrew, which have been disrupted by ongoing road work activities. In a release sent to our news center earlier today, the NWC says several sections of transmission mains were removed as the contractors cleared a pathway for infrastructure along the new roadway. As a result, the agency will be reinstalling new pipeline to restore water supply in Richmond Park, Maxfield Avenue, upper sections of Hagley Park, and surrounding communities who have been affected. The release also states that normal water supply operations are expected to be restored by midnight August 28. The St. Elizabeth Police have intensified their investigation into last weekend's break-in at a Western Union outlet in Balaclava, during which a safe was stolen. The burglary took place on Saturday night. It was reported that the burglars removed the safe from a wall and made off with it. This morning, head of the St. Elizabeth Police, Superintendent Samuel Morgan, told TVJ News that the police are yet to recover the stolen safe or its contents. He however stated that the police are making progress in their investigation with the help of technology. In light of the recent break-in, Councillor for the Balaclava Division, Everton Fisher, and the residents have urged the St. Elizabeth Police and Area 3 High Command to deploy more police personnel and vehicles to the community. Arising from this and other recent incidents, a community meeting is to be held in at the Silo Primary School with residents of Balaclava, Shiloh, Magotty, and adjoining areas to deal with community and safety matters. Now, the meeting is to begin at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And here's a preview now of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we look at natural birth versus a cesarean section.
A normal delivery means that you are delivering the baby through a passage that's created for that purpose. With a C-section, you have to be given anesthesia, whether it's spinal anesthesia, which means we deaden from the upper abdomen downwards and you're awake, or you're put to sleep. And those have risks involved in and of themselves. Doing the surgery itself has risks involved. And the aftercare has risks involved because you will be in bed for some time. You can get infections, you can get clots in the different veins, and in your future pregnancies, it can impact on how you deliver. It can impact on how your placenta or your afterbirth decides to implant. And so there are so many things that can happen because of a C-section.
That's the health report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's healthy living tip. When preparing for a natural birth, find the right healthcare provider. Choose where you want to give birth. Learn about alternative pain relief methods. Go to prenatal classes and prepared for the unexpected.
We go now to news in sports. Defending champions Waterhouse will go in search of their first win when they oppose Royal Lakes at the Royal Lakes Playfield as the JFF Women's Premier League continues on Wednesday. Elsewhere in the zone, Trelawney Women's FC play Real Mona FC at the Elliston Wakeland Centre, while Olympic Gardens are at home at Kling Oval against Real Mobe AFC. Over in Zone B, Arnett Gardens, who thrashed Rangers 4-1 on the opening day, will play Fraser's p.m. Jamaica's World Under-20 double sprint gold medalist Brianna Williams will be facing an anti-doping disciplinary hearing in the coming weeks after testing positive for the banned diuretic hydrochlorothiazide, HCTZ. Kian Rina has the details.
TVJ Sports sources on Tuesday confirmed that Brianna Williams' B sample has confirmed the A sample as being positive for the banned diuretic hydrochlorothiazide. Both those samples were tested at the Ward-accredited lab in Montreal, Canada. Hydrochlorothiazide is a diuretic used by some athletes to lose weight or mask the use of anabolic steroids. Pending a disciplinary hearing, Williams, who clocked a yet-to-be ratified national junior record of 10.94 seconds to place third in the 100 meters at the National Senior Trials, could now miss the IAAF World Championships in Doha, Qatar between September 27 and October 7. Contacted by TVJ Sports Tuesday afternoon, Canadian-based sports attorney Dr. Emir Crown confirmed he had been retained to represent young Williams in the case, but expressed disappointment that details of her case was in the public domain.
This is one of those matters that because we're dealing with a minor and because there was no, at least communication to the athlete about the B sample, that the very public revealing of her adverse A sample finding, that shouldn't have been released till at least there was a positive confirmation of the B sample. And again, we're dealing with a minor here. It wouldn't have been anyone's preference for her name to be bandied about before there was any such public finding, at least with respect to her B sample.
When contacted by telephone Tuesday morning, Alexander Williams, who chairs the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission, declined comment on any doping matter. Crown intends to argue that the banned substance was contained in a contaminated over-the-counter medication for cold and flu, which was declared on her doping control form.
I can confirm that we have done independent tests on and over-the-counter cold medication that the athlete took. And the independent test confirmed the presence of a diuretic, and the diuretic was not listed amongst the ingredients in that cold medicine.
It is understood that the matter will now be heard by the local independent anti-doping disciplinary panel. Under the World Anti-Doping Agency and IAAF rules, the athlete is facing the possibility of a maximum 4-year ban for a first offense if she is found guilty.
It is genuinely a case where she bears, I would suggest, no fault at all in the situation for something that was beyond her control, but beyond anyone's control, really. There was no way to know that a diuretic would would find its way into over-the-counter cold medicine.
Keon Reyna reporting for TVJ Sports.
And that wraps up the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.